Unity of Houston is an inclusive church where we seek to understand and live the teachings of Jesus and other spiritual masters. At Unity, we welcome all people from all spiritual paths and every walk of life. We celebrate the diversity of our city and of our world, and we teach love, tolerance, and oneness, seeking to live in harmony with open minds and open hearts.
Wherever you are in your spiritual path, you are always welcome at Unity. Join us and discover that the life of your dreams is already within you.
So today, are you having fun with your holiday so far? Yes. Well, I'm going to tell you why you have a holiday today. Not the historical reason. You can look that up anywhere, Google it. What I'm going to tell you today is that the reason that we have some time and an opportunity is to take advantage of taking a look at our work. Most of us probably are off tomorrow in recognition of Labor Day and all that it means, but I think it is also a spiritual opportunity to step out of our work. You know, on a Monday, when we would normally be all about that, and I don't know about you, but Mondays, for me, isn't just about one day. It's about the whole week, isn't it? Like, as soon as Monday rolls around, you don't think of it as one day, do you? Think of it as a whole week. Just kind of landed on your lap and on your shoulders, right? Oh, I got to do this, and then Tuesday, and then Wednesday that's happening, and right? And so we really just kind of take in the whole thing all at once. Tuesday, on the other hand, is just Tuesday. Wednesday is just Wednesday, but Monday somehow is the whole thing. So this is an opportunity for you to take a look at the whole thing you call your work. This is an opportunity for you to step out of it for a moment, because some of us have way too much work, don't we? Sometimes it's too much and too hard, too much of it too often. And for others, maybe it's not enough work. Maybe there's not enough work in our lives. Maybe there's something else that we're still needing. Work comes in various forms in our lives. There's the work that we get paid for, right? The work that is an opportunity for us to have a livelihood that sustains us, to help us pay our bills, right? It brings in income so that we can enjoy our life and come to a certain level of quality of life or standard of living. And so in understanding that livelihood idea, that no matter how hard it is, or how much you're not enjoying it, or how much it's not exactly the thing you want to spend your time with, still there's a way to look at it with a sense of gratitude that you have it. Because there's some reason you said yes to it, that it's sustaining, that it's helping. It may not be what you'll do forever, but it's something that you're doing right now, and really right now is all we really have. And so the opportunity to allow some gratitude, some things that are good about the work that we do, if we're not already there, this is an opportunity to share that and to start to come from it. Our work is also an opportunity for us to value the gifts that we have been given and to use them in service in some form. Your work, undoubtedly, whatever your job description is, however it is that you work in your life, there's a role that you play. There's something that's being called out of you. It may not possibly use all the gifts that you have, but it certainly uses some of them. And in that, you can feel the genuine good feeling of being on purpose and being useful in the world, of really finding value for yourself. And depending on what kind of work it is, what you do for clients, or what you do for the people that you serve, or how it is you work with your coworkers to get behind the mission of whatever business or work that you're involved in. It serves, it reaches out beyond you. It moves beyond you to something greater, into a capacity of bringing some goods or bringing some service to other people in the world beyond you. And so being part of a mission, being part of something greater, is also a way to find meaning for you, as well as meaning for the ways in which you engage with the world. This is all the places where work can kind of show up for us. But it's not the only kind of work we do. Paid work isn't the only kind of work we do. We also do volunteer work. We do things that we wouldn't do if we were paid to do them for the most part. That kind of it, I know for me it was. I often volunteered to do things that were very unlike my marketable skills, because I spent all my other time, you know, doing the work that I was paid to do because that was what I'd been trained to do. And when I have off time and I'm volunteering, I wanted it to be a little bit easier, a little bit more fun, or to use some other gifts and skills that I wasn't putting to use in my paid work. And so volunteering becomes the opportunity to unleash some other parts of your love to the world. And it doesn't have to be at a certain standard. I knew, too, that the kind of work that I did, I remember volunteering in crisis calls in an office. And part of the job of taking, you know, the little, in those days, Rolodexes, I know, that's a long time ago, Rolodexes of keeping those things up to date and using them as our references, but also cleaning up after ourselves, and not only just cleaning up the cups I used, but sweeping the floor and taking care. I took better care of that office than I do of my own house, because it was a volunteer job, right? Because it was a pleasure to be of service, that you were there just to serve. And I'll tell you what, the level of work that I was doing in there, as valuable as it was and as fulfilling as it was for me, I wouldn't have taken a job doing that kind of work anywhere else. Do you see what I'm saying? It's like it's something you wouldn't even get paid to do, because the joy of giving is all about service, not quid pro quo. There's a difference. And you know what that is. You know what it is when you're doing it. The other thing about volunteering is that I found myself looking forward to doing it. I looked forward to doing it. I looked forward to that day on Thursday when I would be there serving in that particular way. That's how you know you are perfectly placed. And when that kind of wears off and you're no longer enjoying yourself, it's time to look for another volunteer role. And you need to do that because you want to keep that flow of good feeling going. Another form of work that we do, in a way, is the work we do that we love so much that we look for any chance to do it. It's not necessarily something we're paid to do. Some of us are blessed. We get to work at what we love. We get to do what we love. We get to give in service to something greater than ourselves and get paid for it too. But there are things that we love, hobbies, avocations, things like creating music or creating handiworks of some sort, creating art. The things that we might do, make clothes or do needlepoint or crochet or knit or woodworking or mechanical repairs, all kinds of things that we might do with our hands or with our ingenuity that we're not really paid for, or that we may have been paid for at another time in our life, but now we really just enjoy it for the pure love of doing it. We also might include golfing and skiing and all of the things that we do on vacations or as hobbies. But I encourage you to think about ways that you can bring that pleasure and that joy and that celebration of life more routinely into your life. To bring the things that really open your heart, that put a smile on your face, that renew you. Because your life is meant to be engaged in this beautiful exchange of energy, and to be able to live doing with a heart wide open in what you love. What else might you do in this experience of bringing work into being? You see, work is not just hard work. There's the idea that work is hard, or the idea that work is meant to be something that you show your value to the world, that you somehow show the world in some kind of a way. But the real idea of it is to be useful and to give of ourselves. There's another thing that we should be thinking about when it comes to work, because we have been inculcated with a set of values that have come out of this culture in particular. It is the way in which we view work, and we view how it is, what is good work and what is hard work. In some ways, it actually starts all the way back with our Declaration of Independence, believe it or not. Maybe even beyond that or before that, because that came out of some philosophical ideas. But got embodied in that idea of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. In those values that are foundational to our country and to our world and to our culture. I think they're all just well known to us, but they were revolutionary for their time. Because not only did we not pursue happiness at that particular time, that was not a value that was thought about, or a right for sure, but life and liberty itself was controlled by a monarch or by a ruler in most cultures, and it did not extend to self-rule for people who created a government according to law to follow how that they would behave with one another and what was going to be contributing to the good of the greater whole. And so life and liberty became paramount as we found a way to embrace the fact that we have life and that we are free. The pursuit of happiness becomes the next gem to be in pursuit of, because this is not something we can codify exactly. Happiness is relative. Your idea of happiness may be different than mine. Your idea of happiness may be different now than it was 20 years ago. Your idea of happiness may be different today than it will be 20 years from now. Happiness is an evolving understanding of what is fulfilling and what is gifting us. And how is it that we are really here to use our gifts in a powerful new way? In Unity, some people have come here looking for that better life. And the teachings that you find here will indeed bring that to you if you apply them, if you listen and start to allow your thinking to change. That there is only one power for good. God the good, and everything present is good and for us. That power resides within us and through us, and that comes through us with all of the diversities of divine blessings and gifts so that we can access that, using our thoughts and our choice to make good choices and to move forward in more powerful and affirming and beautiful ways where we see the good and we let go of the negative. And that we also know that as we do this, we move into greater and greater prosperity and full health as we apply these gifts to our lives. But here's the thing. Our life is good and getting better, but that's not the goal. That's not why you're here. Because there is no control over the blessings that life will bring and the ways in which you have control over your attitude about your life. Because we can't control what will come at us in our lives, can we? We have some old thinking that somehow says that if I work hard, I will be successful. If I live a good and moral life, I will be rewarded. And we fully expect that our lives should just spread out in front of us as evidence of that. Often it will. Often it does, but there are no guarantees that real destruction, real loss, real pain, really unexpected shattering of plans in our lives for ourselves or for our families will not also happen. We're simply strengthened to know how it is that we handle them when they come, but they don't define the goodness that we are, the morality that we live from, or the love that we're sharing with the world. And so the idea here is to recognize that living in accordance with this alignment with the spiritual life, with the good that God is moving through us, as us, choosing our ideas and our words in accordance to bring greater love, to bring greater life and value, to be working from our soul, is actually the way in which we draw what it is that we're here to be and do from our soul into expression. Because it isn't to have a good life that we're here. It is to radiate life itself from our souls. That's its purpose. And when we have a firm foundation and we have support and we are living with our needs, our basic needs being met, and relationships are good, we are stronger and more capable and more able to bring full out that love from our souls. Because that's really why we're here. Listen to spiritual masters who describe work and its purpose. Rumi says, everyone has been made for some particular work, and the desire for that work has been placed in every heart. Everyone has been made for some particular work, and the desire for that work has been placed in every heart. This is the truth for each and every one of us. And that work can change over the decades of our lives, over stages of our lives and times in our lives. So when you find yourself not necessarily being as fulfilled as you once were, and you're just ticking out the clock, waiting for the time that you can either transfer or change or whatever, I'm just telling you that the internal clock will tell you really what is your next step and where you're being called. What is it that you're here to do? Because whether you're paid for it or volunteering to do it or doing it every opportunity that you can, you're bringing your light to the world in some form or fashion. And for those of us privileged enough, such as myself, to be able to love what I do, to be in service to you and to the world, and to be paid for it too, I am a lucky girl. You can come up and rub my arm if you want to. I consider myself in the center of the pollen path, as Native Americans say. It's beauty above, below, around, underneath, in every direction, because this is why I'm here, and I know it. There is no substitute for that. Khalil Gibran from the Prophet says, work is love made visible. Love made visible. Jesus had a mission statement. Did you know? Do you know what it was? His mission statement. I have come that they may have life and have it to the full. That's what he said. That's what he demonstrated. He called out love. He taught forgiveness. He released everyone from the connections that constrained their souls, that brought meaning and value and allowed them to know that they were good and that they had purpose and that they were called to live from that purpose. And he didn't let anyone off the hook. He healed the body and expected them then to do likewise from the rest of their life, to come and make new choices in their life. Because that's how you have life and have it abundantly. There is a purpose that has been placed in your heart, in your soul. And no matter what form it takes or what medium you use to express it, you need to be about it every single day. And not after work, through work. And not in your vacation time only, but every time you get a chance. And not just in work that you get paid to do, but work that you give willingly and lovingly, because it is your pleasure and fulfillment to offer your gift and to serve in that way. The Buddha in his wisdom made right livelihood one of the steps to enlightenment. I believe that deeply. Responsible work is an embodiment of love, it's written. And love is the only discipline that will serve in shaping the personality, the only discipline that makes the mind whole and constant for a lifetime of effort. There hovers about a true vocation, that paradox of all significant self-knowledge, and it is this. Here's the paradox. Our capacity to find ourselves is by losing ourselves. This falls away, and all we are is one big heart, powering hands and voice and face and effort and time and energy and will and the capacity to embrace and to love and to bring our own brand of healing to the world. In whatever way we've been constructed to do that. It goes on to say we lose ourselves in our love of the task before us, and in that moment we learn an identity that lives both within and beyond us, our connection with what is greater than us. We are our own mission on this planet, and it is placed in your heart, and you will know it every single time anything prods it, anything gives it an opening. Every time you ask the question, you will know What is next for me? There's a gentleman by the name of Harry who had been raised in a family of farmers in his life. And he was the first in his family to go to college and get a degree. And he was the pride and joy of his family. And he was so encouraged by that that he continued to pursue all the time that next level of success. And so he went up the ladder very quickly into leadership and into a CEO position in an insurance company. He became so astute at it and so great in his competitive nature that he excelled at it. He was an icon, really, even among his colleagues, until the day that he got a diagnosis of cancer. Now, fortunate for him, it was a cancer that was operable and treatable, and he was fully expected to fully recover from. So everyone in his area, everyone in his family, everyone who knew him knew that as soon as he was able, he'd be back at the desk and he'd be, charging forward as always. And what happened is that once his surgery sutures had healed, he came to work and 2 days later gave his resignation. Now, many around him assumed that he had received a better offer, that something even greater was awaiting him. But he didn't work for over a year until one day he bought a vineyard and he moved his family there. And he began tending the vineyard. Not only green, leafy growth all across as far as the eyes could see in the breeze, but pink roses along the fence line. A life well tended, one that really spoke to him. When he had a chance to describe how he made that decision, he said this: "From the moment I awoke from surgery, I knew beyond a doubt that I was living someone else's life. There had been so much pressure to succeed from my family. They were so proud that I had escaped the hard life that we had led for generations. I got caught up in the challenge of it all at first, wondering if I could do it. And then I just kept pushing it. Somewhere in the process, though, I stopped listening to myself. My father was a farmer, and my grandfather was a farmer, and my great-grandfather. My father hated this work, but I'm a different sort of man from him. I understand the land, and it matters to me. I know this work as I know myself. And I know that I belong here in a way that I never belonged anywhere else." Do you doubt for a moment that that deep knowing in his heart, Harry's heart, was a conjuring up of his ego? Can you not feel the divinity in that knowledge of knowing what your real purpose is, what you are here to do and to be, not what the world tells us we ought to do or how we ought to do it, but to be brought to a place of knowing that if I don't listen to what has been planted in me, no one will ever see it or hear it or experience it. This is your sacred obligation. This is your holy work. This is why you're here. This is why you thought all this other mess was a good idea. It's so that you could bring this bit of joy, of love, of divinity into visibility. Alan Stockdale says, "God gave us a world unfinished so that we might share in the joys and satisfaction of creation." Does anybody think the world is complete and whole already? Do we not see there's some work that needs to be done? What makes you think it's not yours to do? what makes you think that your love needs to be held back. Your love is here to be shining out full out. And nobody can tell you what the value of your life, your force, your beauty, your joy, your gifts are. Nobody can put a price on them. No matter what the market value is, you are here because you're here to be what you were created to be. Jesus said it this way, greater love has no one than to lay down one's life for one's friends. This is what we do. We share with the world, one choice at a time. The Buddha says, your work is to discover your world, and then with all your heart, give yourself to it. Holy work. If you're not already doing it, it is up to you to find some ways to start doing it. You know why? Because we are desperate to see it come through you now. Happy Labor Day weekend. God bless you all.
Thank you for watching this message today. I'd like to invite you to join us in person here on campus at Unity of Houston for Sunday morning or Wednesday evening services. If you can't be with us here on our campus, you can still join us live on Facebook or on our website, unityhouston.org, Sunday mornings at 11 a.m. Central.